Welcome back to my channel. Today we enter the courtroom where reality TV meets real-life justice. The cameras might be banned, but make no mistake, the entire nation is watching. Your Honor, I gave him 26 years of my life. I birthed his children. I raised his other wives' children. I stood beside him through poverty, through shame, through cameras, and through betrayal. And how did he thank me? By stealing our future? Kody Brown's voice echoed through the wood-paneled courtroom like a thunderclap. No microphone, no stage lights, just truth, sharp enough to cut the silence. Across the room sat Kody Brown, once the self-proclaimed patriarch of America's most famous plural family, now reduced to a defendant. His once wild curls were slicked back in courtroom polish, his arrogance replaced by something hollow. His attorney whispered in his ear. Kody didn't move. Behind him, Robyn Brown clutched her designer handbag, her eyes restless, calculating. Janelle sat 2 rows back, silent but unwavering, her gaze fixed on Kody, not in pity, but in solidarity. And Meri, further behind, pale and unreadable. If cameras had been allowed, America would have gasped. Because for the first time, the sister wives weren't sitting on a couch pretending unity. They were sitting on opposite sides of a courtroom, and this time it was war. Kody took a deep breath. Her voice steady, her conviction unshakable. When we joined this family, Kody promised equality. Equal love, equal voice, equal future. But when the dust settled and the moving trucks were gone, we discovered the truth. He lied to every one of us. The judge leaned forward. Ms. Brown, are you alleging intentional misrepresentation of financial arrangements within your family? Kody's nod was sharp. Her lawyer rose. Your Honor, we are alleging far more than that. We are alleging fraud, deception, and manipulation, a systematic operation to transfer power, wealth, and property under one name, Robyn Brown. Kody flinched. Robyn whispered something, her voice tight and trembling. Your Honor, the attorney continued, stepping to the center of the courtroom, this is not a divorce hearing. This is not a therapy session. This is a case of estate manipulation hidden beneath the veil of spiritual plural marriage. And with that, the truth began to unravel. Kody joined the Brown family in 1994, not just as another wife, but as the glue that held chaos together. Kody already had Meri and Janelle, but Kody brought warmth, motherhood, and balance. Together, they raised 18 children, surviving everything from poverty and police raids to the blinding lights of TLC. But everything changed in 2010, the year Robyn entered. She was supposed to be the fourth equal, Kody said, locking eyes with the judge. But she became the first and only legal wife. And everything changed. The courtroom stilled. Janelle's head dipped. Meri's eyes glistened. Kody's lawyer held up a document. This is a loan agreement from 2019. Kody mortgaged her home to pay off family land at Coyote Pass. And this? He lifted another, is the deed from 2021. That same land transferred solely to Robyn Brown's name. Gasps rippled through the gallery. He told me we were building our forever, Kody said softly. But he was building her empire. Because Coyote Pass wasn't just land, it was a promise, the family's final dream. On television, Kody cried over it. He told America it was for everyone. But behind the scenes, he and Robyn redrew the map, literally. Secret meetings, hidden trusts. A rewritten will that erased Kody's children completely. Janelle raised concerns, but she was silenced. Meri stayed quiet. Too afraid, too loyal. And Kody, she walked away. But she didn't leave empty-handed. She took evidence. And what she uncovered shook everything. Financial trails, shell companies, private LLCs under Robyn's name. Family funds funneled into new cars, new furniture, new insurance, all paid for by the collective earnings of the wives. Kody's business. Janelle's coaching. Even Meri's bed and breakfast income, drained to fund Robyn's luxury life. Kody's lawyer turned back to the judge. Kody's money built Robyn's lifestyle. That's when Kody exploded. Objection! This is character assassination. The judge didn't even blink. Sit down, Mr. Brown. And the truth continued to unfold. After Kody left, she found what Kody had buried. Missing savings, excluded children, erased names. She hired a forensic accountant. She traced the money. And then she found Garrison's letter. Janelle's son, left out of the trust, emotionally crushed, unseen. His words, written before his tragic death, became Kody's vow. I will deliver the truth. And she did. I stood by him, Christine said, trembling but strong. When the state investigated us, when the church condemned us, when the cameras attacked us. But the moment I questioned the money, he turned on me. Her voice cracked. You told me we couldn't afford to build on Coyote Pass, that Robyn's rent was draining us. You said we'd all benefit one day. But it was never for us, was it? Kody's silence said everything. Your Honor, the lawyer concluded, this isn't just about property. It's about patterns. A pattern of deception, a pattern of exploitation. Kody Brown built a public image of equality, while privately transferring everything to Robyn Brown. He turned to the bench. We are requesting the unsealing of all financial documents, tax returns, and the Coyote Pass Trust. Christine stepped forward one last time. I don't want revenge, she said. I want truth. I want every woman who watched us for a decade to know. We weren't just lied to on television. We were lied to in contracts, in deeds, in courtrooms. A single tear slid down her cheek. And now, I want justice. The gavel struck. Court is adjourned until tomorrow. Christine turned. Kody didn't look at her. Robyn was already gone. But Janelle rose, walked to Christine, and stood beside her. No words, just two women who had finally broken the silence. Because this wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the beginning of a reckoning. Now it's your turn. Should Kody Brown be held accountable for deceiving his wives about their shared estate? Comment below, whose side are you on? Christine, Janelle, Meri, or Robyn? Because this time the verdict isn't coming from a judge. It's coming from you. It isn't coming from a judge. It's coming from you. The courtroom was thick with silence. The kind of silence that only truth can summon. Then came the voice that broke it. All of us, Janelle began softly. We all believed we were part of something sacred. But when the dust settled, only one name was on that deed. Gasps rippled through the room. Janelle Brown, calm, poised, dignified, took the witness stand. But her eyes told a different story. A story of betrayal dressed as unity. Of trust weaponized by the man who once called himself their protector. Her fingers trembled as she held up a single document, one she'd carried in her purse for more than a year. The day I saw this, she whispered, was the day I knew everything we believed in was gone. The courtroom clerk approached as she handed over the Coyote Pass deed. The judge adjusted his glasses, unfolded the paper, and began to read. This property, including parcels 4A, 5B, and adjoining lots, is hereby transferred solely into the name of Robyn Alice Brown. The air was sucked out of the room. Christine stared in stunned silence beside her attorney. Meri's lips parted, unable to form words. Even Robyn, sitting just behind Kody, looked as if she'd been hit by a wave of her own making. Because for 10 long years, every wife believed that land was their shared dream, their shared future. But at that moment, the truth was undeniable. They had been erased. The projector flickered to life. Footage from a 2019 Sister Wives episode filled the courtroom wall. There they were, the Browns, walking barefoot across the red dirt of Flagstaff. Smiling, laughing, hopeful. This is it, Kody declared proudly on camera. This is where we'll grow old. 4 homes, 4 dreams, together but independent. Christine smiled in that footage. Janelle clapped with genuine joy. Robyn wiped away tears. And Meri, for the first time in years, looked hopeful. But in the courtroom, that joy now felt like mockery. Janelle took a deep breath, steady but broken. We were told we'd be equal partners, she told the judge. We trusted him. We believed in him. But we never saw the paperwork. Not once. The screen changed again. This time showing internal family emails obtained through discovery. From Kody Brown Patriarchy Private LLC, RB subject, deed finalization. Let's move this fast. If Christine or Janelle ask questions, I'll tell them it's still in escrow. The courtroom stirred. Christine's attorney rose, holding a folder of exhibits. Your Honor, he began, his tone sharp and deliberate, these women didn't just build homes. They built the foundation of Kody Brown's empire. Christine liquidated her retirement savings. Janelle sold off her investments. Meri funneled every penny from her LuLaRoe income straight into the family account. But when the Coyote Pass property was finalized, only Robyn's name appeared on the deed. He paused, and not one of them was notified. All eyes turned toward Kody. He sat stiff, jaw tight, hands gripping the table. His lawyer leaned in to whisper something, but Kody didn't answer. He couldn't. Because what came next would destroy every ounce of his defense. The next witness stepped forward, a forensic accountant, calm and methodical. During my audit of the Brown family estate, he began, I traced payments from 4 primary sources: Christine Brown, Janelle Brown, Meri Brown, and shared TLC earnings. All flowed into what was labeled a family trust account. He paused, letting the silence hang. But upon review, that trust was never legally registered in the state of Arizona. A collective gasp filled the room. What we found instead, the accountant continued, was a limited liability corporation, an LLC, established in Robyn Brown's name. Created in early 2019, just 3 weeks before the deed transfer. The screen lit up again, IRS filings, Arizona business records, and a logo, RB Equity Holdings. One listed officer, Robyn Alice Brown. Business purpose, real estate acquisition and holding for family equity purposes. But the equity had never been shared. For the first time that day, Robyn stood. Her voice shook. I object. The judge looked surprised. She wasn't even a formal party to the case yet. But Christine's attorney didn't move to stop her. Let her speak, Christine whispered. Let her try. Robyn walked slowly toward the bench. I didn't create that LLC to hurt anyone, she said, her voice trembling. Kody told me it was the best way to protect our assets. He said if we put the land under one name, we'd avoid taxes and save money for the whole family. The judge tilted his head. Did the other wives know about this arrangement? Robyn's eyes filled with tears. No. He said he'd tell them when the time was right. A bitter laugh escaped Christine. There was never going to be a right time, was there, Robyn? The courtroom fell silent again. Christine's attorney stepped forward with the next piece of evidence, a group text thread from 2021. Kody. The land's still being held. Just waiting on zoning and permits. Janelle, should we be signing anything yet? Kody. Nope, it's under control. Trust me. That same week, RB Equity Holdings finalized the deed, transferring every parcel solely into Robyn's name. No trust, no wives, no children. Christine's attorney turned back to the judge, his voice steady but burning with outrage. Your Honor, this wasn't miscommunication. This was premeditated misdirection. Kody Brown deliberately concealed the transfer of Coyote Pass from 3 of his 4 wives, while publicly proclaiming on national television that it was a shared family dream. He stepped closer. This wasn't a misunderstanding between husband and wife. It was financial fraud executed behind a spiritual facade. Christine lowered her head, a single tear rolling down her cheek. The dream of Coyote Pass had died long before the truth came out, and now the courtroom could see the ashes. Because it was never about family. It was about control. And that deed was the smoking gun. The smoking gun. The courtroom had already been heavy with tension, but when Janelle stood again, her voice broke through the silence like a crack of thunder. My sons helped level that land, she said, her tone trembling but resolute. They drove equipment. They spent weekends clearing rocks and laying soil. They believed they were building their future, but it was never theirs. She paused, wiping a tear that betrayed the pain behind her strength. Garrison even drew blueprints for a cabin. He wanted to build it with his own hands. And now I have to tell him that every dream he had was built on a lie. The judge shifted in his seat, visibly moved. Christine leaned forward, voice sharp but weary. This is why I left. It wasn't just about love. It was about the gaslighting, the manipulation. He let us pour our hearts into something he'd already taken from us. Meri, quiet until now, finally spoke. I stayed loyal, she said softly, even when it broke me. But if I had known Robyn owned that land, I might have walked away years ago. And then the question that had been hanging in the air finally landed like a hammer. Why was Robyn's name the only one protected? The courtroom fell silent as Kody approached the witness stand. For the first time in 2 days, his confidence had cracked. He raised his hand, swore to tell the truth, and then smirked. I did what I had to do to keep my family safe. Christine's attorney didn't blink. Safe from what, Mr. Brown? Your wives? Kody leaned forward. From the state? From taxes? From chaos. So, the lawyer pressed, let's clarify. Did you or did you not transfer all family property into Robyn's name without informing Christine, Janelle, or Meri? Kody hesitated. I did. But I didn't think they needed to know. I was the legal head of household. Christine rose to her feet. We weren't employees, Kody. We were your wives. Then came the expert witness, the forensic accountant. His words dismantled everything Kody had built. There is no legally recognized Brown family trust in Arizona or Utah. The trust Mr. Brown references was never filed. No records. No protection. Nothing exists, Janelle gasped. But he told us it was a verbal illusion, the accountant interrupted. A fabrication. Robyn's face drained of color. You told me there was a trust. You said it covered the kids. Kody said nothing. Christine's lawyer delivered the final blow. Your Honor, this entire empire was built on promises without paper, equity without evidence, and trust without truth. The land is gone. The money is gone. And these women stand before you with nothing except betrayal. As the judge called for recess, Christine turned to Kody one last time. You can rebuild a house. You can survive divorce. But what we went through was financial abuse dressed up as spiritual leadership. The next time you look at that land, remember the women who bled for it. And just when the courtroom thought it had reached its breaking point, the clerk entered with a sealed envelope. Christine froze. Janelle's eyes widened. Meri clasped her hands so tightly they trembled. On the envelope, written in unmistakably youthful handwriting, were the words, "To the judge, from Robert Garrison Brown." A collective hush fell over the courtroom. Kody's face turned pale. Robyn gripped her purse so tightly her knuckles went white. The judge's voice wavered as he held the letter. This document has been verified as authentic and submitted by counsel on behalf of the petitioner. It will now be read aloud. The courtroom was so silent you could hear the faint hum of traffic outside. Then the judge began, "My name is Garrison. I'm the son of Janelle Brown and Kody Brown. I was raised in what people on TV called a loving plural family. It wasn't always easy, but it was ours, until it wasn't. In 2021, my dad stopped calling me. We had arguments. He said I wasn't loyal, that I was making Robyn uncomfortable." And as the judge's voice broke over Garrison's words, the illusion of unity Kody had fought so hard to protect finally shattered, not with shouting, not with scandal, but with the quiet, devastating honesty of a son who had simply wanted his father to see him. The judge's voice broke the silence. "You may continue." The letter trembled slightly in his hands as he began to read. "He told me I was dividing the family." A hush fell across the courtroom. Christine covered her mouth, her shoulders trembling. A single tear slid down her face, tracing the map of years spent holding a broken family together. "I wanted to build on the Coyote Pass land. I asked Mom if I could someday put a cabin there. She said, of course." She believed in that dream too. But then I found out the land wasn't in her name, or Meri's, or Christine's. It was only in Robyn's. The words hit Janelle like a physical blow. She rose to her feet, whispering hoarsely to the bailiff, "I need a moment." But the judge raised his hand gently. "Miss Brown, please." "Stay seated. The letter is almost finished." Janelle sank back down, her shoulders shaking as Christine reached across the table and took her hand. "I didn't write this for pity," the judge continued reading, voice tight. "I wrote it because I want the court to know my mom didn't deserve to be erased. None of them did. My dad punished me for speaking up, for asking questions, for not siding with Robyn." Meri looked away, her hands clasped together. Her pain sat quietly in the corner, unspoken but loud enough to echo through the room. The judge paused again, frowning at the next line. "I don't have access to the trust. I asked Dad about it. He said only Robyn's kids were legally listed because they were the only ones with protection. He said it wasn't personal." The judge adjusted his glasses, his voice soft but heavy. "But how is it not personal," he read, "when your own father cuts you out of the future?" The courtroom held its breath. The air was thick, grief, rage, disbelief, all intermingling in a silence that felt sacred. Christine's attorney stood. "Your Honor, we can corroborate this. We obtained a partial draft of the Brown family's revised estate plan, dated 2022. Only Robyn's 5 children are listed as beneficiaries. None of the children from Christine, Janelle, or Meri appear anywhere in that document." A collective gasp swept through the room. It wasn't just about inheritance anymore, it was about erasure. The judge resumed reading. "My mom raised 6 of us. She never asked for praise, she just wanted fairness. I thought we were all equals in this family. Turns out some of us were temporary." Christine's sobs grew louder, and even the court stenographer's eyes glistened. "This isn't about money. It's about acknowledgement. About being counted. About not letting one man decide which children matter. Thank you for reading this. I don't know if it will change anything, but at least I tried. Garrison." When the judge folded the paper, the silence that followed was deafening. Janelle rose to her feet. Her voice cracked, but her resolve was solid as iron. Your Honor, that letter is why I'm here. My son saw through the lies before any of us did. He was punished for speaking the truth, for daring to question the man who demanded loyalty, but gave none in return. She turned toward Kody. You always said you loved your children equally, but your money, your estate, your choices, they tell a different story. Kody stood, shoulders tight, hands gripping the table. I never meant to exclude anyone, he said, his voice quivering under the weight of the room's hatred. It was a logistical issue. Legal stuff. I was going to fix it later. Christine's lawyer stepped forward, tone razor sharp. Your Honor, Mr. Brown has had years to fix his so-called oversight. Instead, he built a fortress around one wife and one set of children, while the rest were left with empty promises. The courtroom projector flickered to life. Text messages from Garrison's phone appeared on the screen. Garrison, Dad, am I still in the trust? Kody, don't worry about it. That's my business. A collective murmur rippled through the gallery. Even Robyn buried her face in her hands. Christine rose, voice trembling but fierce. I don't just mourn Garrison because he was Janelle's son. I mourn him because he was the first to scream the truth we all whispered. He knew Kody never intended to leave a legacy to anyone but Robyn's kids, and for that, he was branded disloyal. She looked Kody dead in the eye. You abandoned him. Then you blamed him. Then came another twist no one expected. Christine's son Peyton requested to testify. The judge allowed it. He walked to the stand, tall but visibly tense. Garrison was my brother, Peyton said. My best friend. He wanted us to confront the truth, and when we did, Dad cut us off. My dad, he's charming when the cameras are on. But off camera? He used silence as a weapon. He rewarded obedience. He punished independence. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. This message was sent to Garrison in 2022, right after he asked to visit. On the projector screen appeared the words, Kody, I'm not in the mood for your whining. You don't support the family anymore. I'm done. Gasps, whispers, disbelief. The courtroom shook with quiet fury. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about control, manipulation, emotional abuse. Judge Ellison slammed his gavel for order. This court acknowledges that while emotional estrangement is not a crime, the intentional exclusion of select children after verbal promises were made may constitute misrepresentation. He turned to Kody. Mr. Brown, prepare for a full audit of all estate planning documents created after 2018. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Robyn stood, her voice trembling through tears. I didn't know. I thought Kody included everyone. I never wanted this. Christine turned toward her, eyes glistening but cold. You didn't ask for it. But you didn't stop it either, Robyn sobbed. I thought I was protecting my kids. But I see now. I helped destroy everyone else's. The judge declared the court adjourned. We reconvene at 9 a.m. to examine the Brown family trust in full. Reporters rushed to the courthouse doors. Cameras flashed. But inside that room, something sacred had shattered. Christine hugged Janelle tightly. Meri slipped away alone, her face pale with disbelief. Robyn sat frozen in tears, and Kody stood, paralyzed, exposed, defeated. He had spent years building his empire on silence and faith. Now the silence was gone, and faith was dead. Because in life, Garrison was silenced. But in death, he finally told the truth. And this courtroom heard him loud and clear. And this courtroom heard him loud and clear. The moment Kody Brown said those words, the air inside that courtroom changed. It wasn't just silence, it was suffocating. Every set of eyes was fixed on him, searching for a trace of remorse, a flicker of truth. But what they saw instead was a man cornered by his own web of lies. Christine's hands trembled as she reached for Janelle's. He's still doing it, she whispered, voice breaking. Still pretending this was all strategy. Janelle's eyes glistened. It was never strategy, she said softly. It was betrayal with paperwork. The judge's gavel struck once, sharp as thunder. Mr. Brown, Judge Ellison said, voice steady but edged with disbelief. You've testified under oath that you knowingly transferred all family assets into Mrs. Robyn Brown's name. You did so without consulting or informing your other wives, women who contributed financially, emotionally, and physically to that estate. Is that correct? Kody nodded once, his jaw tight. Yes, Your Honor, but I did it to protect the family. Christine's laugh, cold, hollow, cut through the still air. Protect the family? She said, standing now, trembling with rage. You destroyed the family. You turned love into leverage, faith into fear, and trust into a lie written in fine print. The attorney for Christine stepped forward. "Let's revisit the record," she said, eyes locked on Kody. 2018, equal ownership promised. 2019, Christine's $130,000 deposit into the family fund. 2020, Robyn's name appears on the LLC. 2021, she becomes sole deed holder. And 2022, your will excludes every child except Robyn's. That's not protection, Mr. Brown. That's calculated erasure. Kody shifted in his seat, sweat forming on his brow. "It wasn't meant to look like that," he muttered. "Then how was it meant to look?" The judge pressed. "Because from where I sit, it appears you built a kingdom on the backs of women who trusted you, then handed the keys to one." The gallery murmured. Robyn's face had drained of all color. Her hands were clasped tightly in her lap, knuckles pale. "I didn't know," she said under her breath. "He told me it was fair. He told me it was done with everyone's consent." Christine turned toward her, eyes sharp as glass. "You didn't know? Robyn, you benefited. You sat in that house while we sold ours. You signed those papers while we signed away our hope." Tears welled in Robyn's eyes. "I thought I was protecting my kids. And in doing so," Janelle said, voice low but powerful, "you helped destroy ours." Judge Ellison leaned back, steepling his fingers. "This court has seen greed before. It has seen deception, manipulation, broken promises, but rarely has it seen all three disguised as spiritual leadership." Kody's head dropped. For the first time, his confidence cracked. He looked smaller, older, like a man who had spent his whole life pretending to be in control, and suddenly realized the illusion was gone. The judge continued, "An official audit will be conducted on all financial and property transfers made after 2018. Until then, all Coyote Pass assets are frozen pending review." Gasps rippled through the room. Robyn buried her face in her hands. Christine exhaled shakily. Janelle whispered a quiet "thank you" under her breath. But Meri didn't move. She just stared at Kody, the man who once promised her eternity and instead delivered silence. "You ruined everything you touched," she said softly. "Not with anger, but with neglect." The judge struck his gavel again. "Court is adjourned until tomorrow morning." As the gallery began to empty, reporters pressed against the glass outside, flashes from their cameras lighting the dark hallways like lightning. Inside, the family stood shattered. Christine hugged Janelle tight. Robyn sat motionless. Kody remained frozen at the defense table, staring at his reflection in the polished wood. For years, he preached unity. But in the end, it wasn't the state or society that broke the Brown family apart. It was Kody himself. And tomorrow, when the court resumed, the truth written in his own son's letter would haunt him again, line by line, word by word. Because this wasn't just a trial. It was reckoning.